I talk a lot about self-expression in the work I do, and it's something that I've had to work on myself throughout my journey. I mean, the reason I even went to therapy in the first place was to initially work on self-expression because I felt throughout most of my life I just couldn't express myself. I felt uncomfortable with it. Every time I would try to express myself to certain people, I would instead cry. It felt like that was the only way for my feelings or emotions to come out of my body is through just tears. Like they couldn't come out with words. So I really wanted to work on expressing myself in a way that allowed me to feel like I was being heard or that, others could understand what I needed or what I wanted. I felt like I wasn't doing that. And so a lot of the work I've had to do throughout most of my therapy journey and, the content I create has been practicing self-expression. And I want to explore this a bit more and the importance of it, specifically with regards to how vulnerably expressing yourself shows you that you deserve to be heard. Because I think we're not often taught the skill of self-expression, especially for those of us who have maybe been conditioned to just be seen and not heard, to, keep the peace all the time, to walk on eggshells, to be people pleasers. We're not taught how to actually express ourselves because sometimes expressing yourself can cause problems in dynamics where people don't want to be confronted with certain things or don't want to be held accountable. But self-expression is vital for your own sense of self, for your self-worth. So if you are in a place right now where you realize like you can't express yourself, you have a hard time doing it, and because of that, your life is being affected, it's important to start practicing it. Because if you're not, most likely, again, this is just from my own experience. I'm not a therapist. I've just really had to work on it. And I think I've really grown and I've really improved. And it is possible. If you feel like it's impossible right now, it is possible. I used to think that it was impossible when I started my journey as well. It is possible. But it's important to start working on it because when you hold back, when you withhold your self-expression, you are telling yourself you don't deserve to be heard. So you're just reinforcing the belief that you are unworthy, that nobody wants to hear you, that you don't deserve it. It starts with you, ultimately, right? It didn't start with you when it came to how you were conditioned throughout your life, but right now it's starting with you. You are replaying the same narratives over and over again. You are reinforcing the beliefs. You are holding yourself back. So now it is your responsibility, in a sense, to undo all those beliefs, to undo all that programming and reprogram it for yourself. Of course, this is so much easier said than done. Expressing yourself can be terrifying, especially if you haven't done it much before, because you worry that expressing yourself will mean you're trying to cause fights, you're trying to cause problems, you're confronting people. And if you haven't learned how to express yourself in a way that, gets you from point A to point B, that allows people to understand you, it'll probably be something that you withhold, you shove down, and then it festers. And over time, it comes out in like a fit of rage. It's unexplainable rage. It's, inarticulate rage. It just comes out like that because there's nowhere else for it to go. Or it comes out with crying, like I said before. It's important to learn how to funnel those emotions and those needs outward through your self-expression. Self-expression is a tool, ultimately. It gets you, like I said, from point A to point B. It is not a punishment to somebody else for you to express yourself, which might be what other people pleasers believe, right? It's something I believed as well. Expressing myself, expressing my needs, saying, I don't like this, I need this, I don't want that. I used to believe it felt almost like I was punishing somebody by doing that, right? It was just a deep belief, a deep core belief. But that's not true at all. It is literally just a tool. It is a tool for you to get what you need in your life. If you don't ask, if you don't express, you'll never even get the opportunity to see if this person or this circumstance, this job, whatever, can give you what you need. So self-expression, vulnerably expressing yourself, because it is vulnerable to do so, vulnerably expressing yourself also shows you that you value your needs, that you have your back, that you're there to show yourself the kind of life you want. And ultimately, when you do that, you're showing yourself that you believe you deserve the life you want. You're showing yourself that you can trust yourself. And through that work, your inner child feels safe. And I love inner child work. I talk about it a lot as well. It's something that has helped me throughout my journey. It still helps me. I still tap into my inner child to get an idea of what she needs when things are, maybe not feeling quite right. But this is really important for your inner child work. Tapping into what your inner child needs you to do to feel safe, for her to feel safe with you, for them to feel safe with you. And a lot of that has to do with self-expression. How do you express yourself to the people around you in a way that shows you that you deserve what you want or what you need, and shows them that you understand yourself and that you are trying to make them understand? And the people that are right for you, the people that are aligned with you, will try to understand. They'll be happy that you're helping them understand. The people that aren't aligned with you, the people that don't want to change patterns like this, the people that want to stay in those old dynamics potentially, they won't be happy with it, or they won't want to understand. Because people just, they understand what they want to understand, right? If they're committed to misunderstanding you, they will misunderstand you no matter how well you express yourself. No matter what you say, what you do, they'll still misunderstand you. They won't try to. So it's not that self-expression will give you exactly what you want and that's all you have to do. It won't. Ultimately, it is just a practice in showing yourself that you believe you deserve to have what you want and need. That you just have that core belief. Not that you'll get it, not that you're entitled to it, but simply that you just believe you deserve it or you're worthy of it at the very least. And that's really important for building your self-worth. And your self-worth is the foundation to how you navigate the rest of your life. If you don't have a strong self-worth, you'll accept things that aren't right for you. You'll do things that aren't aligned with you. And then it'll create a cycle where you continue to prove to yourself that you are undeserving and unworthy, right? If you do things that are unaligned with you, if you do things that aren't quite what you want, you're just showing yourself that, see, I can never get what I want, which means I must not deserve to have what I want. And so you continue doing the things that are not right for you and then reinforcing that belief over and over and over again. So self-expression, vulnerable self-expression, because again, it is vulnerable, it is scary. All of this is easier said than done. Over time, however, as I've learned throughout my own journey, the more you do it, the easier it gets. It becomes second nature and it becomes less scary to do. It becomes less threatening to do, to show someone what you need. Because at first, it might feel like to show someone what you need, to ask for something that you want, is somehow a sign of weakness, a sign of lack. You don't have something, so you are weak, you're feeble, and that person now might take advantage of you. That could be a deep fear that you might have. And that's a valid fear. Sure, some people might do that, but that's not what self-expression signifies. It does not signify that you are weak. Self-expression, like I said, is a tool, and it's important to think of it that way. It is just a tool in your tool belt that you can use to get you what you want in life or what you need for your basic survival in many cases. Of course, have discernment about who and how you articulate yourself, communicate yourself, express yourself. Some people might be actually physically threatening. So to do that with them might not be the safest thing for you. So I'm not saying that you should do this no matter what. Pick your battles, understand what is safe for you and what's not safe for you, because that is also a way for you to protect yourself and show yourself that you can trust yourself. But in moments when it is right to do so, and you know that it's necessary in this moment and it's not threatening in terms of your, physical self and your life, and you don't do it, you pass up on it, you show yourself that you can't trust yourself, that you can't just do the uncomfortable, annoying thing of expressing yourself vulnerably to get you what you want in life. Because ultimately that is what life is, right? It's doing things that aren't always easy, comfortable, that are kind of annoying, that are kind of frustrating, but you do it because at the end of the day, it's what's good for you. It's going to get you something that is important to you. And we have to do that. And vulnerable self-expression is no different. It's part of that. And again, it's easier said than done. It's scary. It feels like it's a weakness to show yourself to someone. It's like showing your soft underbelly. You wouldn't do that in, the wild, in a sense. But that's not what self-expression is. It's what we've been conditioned to believe it is. Not asking for what you want, not telling people what you need, is showing you that you don't deserve it and that you don't even hear yourself. And if you don't hear yourself, if you're not committed to hearing or understanding yourself, how can you know what you actually want? Because, in some cases, you might not even know what you want. I used to think this way sometimes. I talk to people who think this way that, I just don't even know what I want. Are you vulnerably expressing yourself to you at the very least? Are you opening up to yourself? Are you letting yourself, hear your needs? A lot of people aren't. And, I think it's become almost common to not hear ourselves, to let ourselves hear ourselves, because it's scary, right? What will we hear? What will we tell ourselves? What if it's, I need something that to get it, I would have to change the way I live my life, or to get it, I would have to be a different version of myself. And to be this different version of myself is scary. It's uncomfortable. It challenges my identity, the identity I've known my whole life. It means I'll have to let certain identities go or let certain people go. There's a lot of stuff there that's really scary. So it's easier sometimes to suppress our self-expression to ourselves so that we don't have to face all those uncomfortable things. But then, of course, you won't know what you actually want. You won't understand yourself. So that's why I think it's important when it comes to self-expression At the very least, start with yourself. Start with expressing yourself to you so that you at least know clearly what it is you need, what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like in your life. This can start with journaling. I always recommend journaling. I love journaling. It's helped me in so many ways throughout my life. It can even be as simple as just going somewhere, coffee shop, restaurant, whatever, and looking at something, some food, something, and saying, I like that, I don't like that. I like this, I don't like this. Internally, it doesn't have to be out loud, but just for you to practice expressing yourself to you so that you understand where you stand on things in your life. And then over time, practicing with other people. And that's the hardest part, right? Showing yourself to others, exposing yourself in a sense to other people that you don't know. Are they going to understand me? Do they want to understand me? Are they going to be angry? It's a risk. Life is full of risks. That is part of life. But ultimately, not expressing yourself is also a risk because you're holding yourself back from asking for the things you want and getting the things you want in many cases. So if you're going to have a risk either way, if you're going to sacrifice something either way, you might as well sacrifice forward, right? Fail forward in a sense so that you can at least try and understand, okay, I expressed myself, this person didn't like it, they got upset, they got angry. Now I know where this person stands with me, what their role is in my life, and do I want them there anymore? That's really important too, because if you continue to keep people around you who are committed to not hearing you, that's also going to tell you that you don't deserve to be heard. And of course, it's a bit more complicated with family, sure. I'm not saying that you have to cut everybody out of your life, but understanding the roles these people play in your life, right? Maybe you have to shift those roles a little bit. You have to change how you approach certain people and certain dynamics. Maybe instead of confiding in one person, you choose another person that's way more interested in understanding you. And it's all about getting to know yourself through this process too. So it's just about taking it step by step, practicing it. It is a practice. You have to do it regularly in order to build that muscle and get more comfortable with it. But it is possible. The change is possible. I remember one time I had written in my journal that, there was something that I needed to say to somebody and I felt like, I could never say this to them. I could never say this to them. And I'm not even joking, like 5 months later, same journal, I looked down at that entry 5 months later, and I had written that I told this person this thing. The thing that I thought I could never tell them, I told it to them. And simply because I was committed to practicing self-expression in even small micro ways throughout my life, to be able to then build up to that place. To be able to say something that I thought I could never say to somebody, that I thought was so scary and so life-altering. I did it. And it felt almost normal. It felt like mundane at that point. And it got me what I needed in my life at the same time. And that also felt mundane. It didn't feel like this intense thing. It was just that's how life goes. You ask for something, you say something, and you keep it pushing. So again, this isn't to disregard how scary and uncomfortable it is at all. It is. It's not easy. It's easier said than done. But with time, with practice, you can get there. And yeah, like that's pretty much where my whole journey started. It started with self-expression. First expressing myself to myself, and then to others. And the more you do that, the more you show yourself that you believe yourself. You believe in yourself. And I think that's the most life-changing part of all this personal growth work. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it was informative. I hope it inspired you to start practicing your own self-expression if you struggle with it. If you want to talk about this in more detail, you can work with me one-to-one. Like I said, I'm not a therapist. I just love talking about these things. I love sharing my experience in the hopes that it can help somebody else. I also have a Substack where I've written an article about this as well. And follow me on my other social media accounts for the rest of my content. But other than that, thank you for listening, and I'll be back again soon with another episode.